Across the UK, millions of people have ideas every day that could change the world.
Hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing today? Well, if you are Oprah Winfrey, you are being turned into another scandal. I know she's grateful it's not coming from Monique. Let's get into this. This one is actually really odd, and it talks about the way Oprah is connected to a lot of problematic men, but it actually might be because Oprah is so powerful. Everybody in Hollywood knows her. I don't know. Listen to this. They're saying Russell Simmons' grape accuser, Drew Dixon, subpoenas Oprah Winfrey, dragging the icon into legal drama. Now, if you know anything about Drew, Dixon, she is true to this, not new to this. She has been on Russell Simmons behind from the beginning. And no matter how many times he tries to move things around, she is making sure he is going to be held accountable for everything that he did. At the end of the day, no matter how much Kimora Lee Simmons, Aoki, and Ming Lee, and half of the industry rally around this man, too many people have come out and spoken on Russell Simmons. And I don't care how many times you are looking like a perverted Franklin the Turtle doing down dog on the back of a tortoise. No, you're going to be held accountable. They said Russell Simmons seems to have dragged Oprah Winfrey into his legal turmoil. Drew Dixon, one of the women who accused Russell Simmons of sexual assaults, including rape, has subpoenaed Oprah Winfrey in her defamation case against them, demanding Oprah Winfrey give evidence and cough up documents. And you know what? Oprah, if you know something, she needs to give it, okay? In 2017, the former Def Jam executive Drew Dixon accused Russell in the New York Times article of raping her in his apartment in 1995. In 2024, she sued Russell, claiming that he defamed her in a 2023 interview by casting doubt on her claims. You know what? I have to give it to Drew Dixon. She made those claims, and it kind of was outside of the statute of limitations. However, Russell Simmons took the bait, and he needs everybody to think he's such an honorable man. It's weird, weird, weird. He needs everybody to think that he's such an honorable man. So he went up and was like, she a liar. And Drew Dixon said, I got you now. Let's go to court because I have proof that you did what I said you did. In a sit down with journalist Graham Bessinger, this is what Russell Simmons said. Because someone with notoriety in the market where people thirst for fame, literally cracks me up that whenever anybody reaches any type of celebrity or any type of fame, they now act like they were born that way and they want working and lusting and wanting. You sacrificed everything you could to build Def Jam so you could talk to Kimora Lee Simmons when she was looking young on the runway. So you could do all these things and tout all your things. You did everything you could for this money, this notoriety, for this fame. You didn't do it for you didn't do it for any type of charity. But as soon as you get there, you're like, but people do this for notoriety and fame. I said, are you dragging yourself? Anyway, right? Where people thirst for fame, you are one of the OG thirsters. You were just more thirsty than everyone else. He also said, I've never been forceful in any of my relationships, and that all his relationships have been consensual. But are you talking about your romantic relationships? Is this, I don't know. Yana, tell Oprah to cough up those documents. Drew Dixon is also suing over Russell Simmons' remarks about Oprah Winfrey's part in the scandal. He said in his Messenger interview that the OWN star had dropped out of producing a documentary on the record, which addressed a number of women's accusations against Russell Simmons because she found inconsistencies in their allegations and claimed that Oprah Winfrey had recordings of conversations with accusers that revealed those alleged inconsistencies. I know that's right, Drew Dixon. You better eat Russell Simmons all the way up. You want to go and literally run this PR campaign that billionaires and rich men love to run. Okay, let's take everything you say is true. Now let's see you prove it. So you can't even blame Drew Dixon for subpoenaing Oprah. Russell, you bought this on yourself by putting Oprah's name in there. And Oprah never came out and said, no, I didn't do that. So, you know what they say about silence.
I love Monday.com.
What's Monday.com?
You don't know Monday.com? This is Monday.com. It's a platform that helps us run our.
But here's the thing. After she quit the project, Oprah Winfrey told the New York Times that she still believed Drew Dixon. Okay. But the paper wrote that she also thought there were inconsistencies in her account that the film had not adequately addressed. The Times added that the filmmakers say that they have voluminous research files corroborating all the women's accounts. Now, Dixon's attorneys have subpoenaed Oprah Winfrey. That's right. Russell, you was talking. You said all that stuff. If it's true, then what are you worried about? The subpoena to Oprah Winfrey from Drew Dixon's lawyers, seen by page 6. So they went to page 6. Okay. Read, you are hereby commanded to produce books, records, papers, data, documents, evidence, writings, and all other tangible things as described more fully in the attached Schedule A. It's unclear what assets exactly were called for in the attachment and whether Oprah Winfrey compiled with the demand or had her lawyer fight the subpoena. The subpoena goes on to say, you are further commanded to appear and attend before a notary public or another person authorized by law to administer oaths, and at any recessed or adjourned date to testify and give evidence as a witness on an examination before trial by deposition. Upon oral questions. It adds, the deposition may be videotaped and will continue from day to day until complete. Baby, they said Oprah Winfrey has strenuously denied wrongdoing. Russell Simmons has denied the wrongdoing. I'm sure Oprah Winfrey denied the wrongdoing too, and said he has never been arrested or charged with a crime. Drew Dixon's attorneys and reps for Oprah Winfrey didn't respond to a request for comment. Y'all, let me tell you this, because I'm sick of Russell Simmons. You got accused. You were the only accused that actually got held accountable in hip hop's Me Too. Drew Dixon had the tapes. A lot of women were coming forward, so much that you fled the country under the cover of night, right? You fled the country. You then gave your stocks to Kamora Lee because people are saying that you, again, this is my opinion, you gave your stocks to Kimora Lee because if any of these lawsuits were successful, you weren't worried about going to jail. You were worried about having to pay out these victims, and you wanted to say you had no money. You then put all your other money into that resort in Bali that you're always in, that little weirdo retreat that you're always in. So I guess that couldn't actually be brought back for assets. So then you're over there. You're afraid to come back to the U.S., or it looks like you're afraid. In my opinion, you come back in, but you never sit for any deposition. You basically, to me, are hiding from the law. And then you got the nerve to sit there and have the BALLS just because Usher's odd self flew out there to show support. You have the nerve to sit in our face and tell us, America, I've never been charged with a crime. That's because they can't even do an investigation. You barely... Duke Dixon had to move heaven and earth to even get you to pose. Yo, I am sick of Russell Simmons. And I'm sick of these half-truths that these billionaires, millionaires, whatever he is putting out. I will say one thing, karma came back at him hard. He is suing Kimora Lee right now because those stocks that he transferred to her when it looked like he was fleeing the country, okay? Maybe he just decided to move to Bali at that moment when half of hip hop was looking at him as the weirdo uncle, right? But I think it's funny that those stocks that got transferred for whatever reason to Kimora ended up selling or using them as collateral so she could get bail for her other husband, Tim, whatever his name is. Kimora loved a morally ambiguous man. So he wouldn't actually go to jail. You could pay for his lawyers. Kimora wants that back because those stocks went up by a lot. The government is like, no way. And now Russell is fighting the government saying Kimora should have never had those stocks. But maybe it's just karma. Maybe it's karma. Anyway, shout out to Drew Dixon for staying on Russell Simmons' ASS. Shout out to Oprah Winfrey. I know you're going to do the right thing in that discovery. And shout out to the perverted Franklin Turtle. I know his morning is horrible. He probably can't even do down dog correct. Anyway, y'all, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.